Okay, welcome members to the 36th annual ordinary general meeting of Disability Wales. I hope everybody enjoyed the opening session and your chance to catch up over coffee. My name's Willow Holloway. I've been Vice Chair of Disability Wales for several years, and I've been acting chair over the last few months since our long-standing chair, Wendy Ashton, stepped down following many, many years of dedicated service. It's a great privilege to be chairing the AGM as we celebrate Disability Wales' 50th anniversary. This is our first AGM to be held in person since 2019. And as Rhian said earlier, it's our first hybrid event to be held in public. And it's a very steep learning curve, but we've had a check-in with everybody and it seems to be going well so far. So, right, we're delighted to see so many of our members participating from around Wales today, whether that be here in person in Cardiff or on the screen. Members may be wondering why, on your paperwork, this is the 36th AGM when we're celebrating our 50th anniversary. But as you've already heard, Disability Wales was set up in 1972 and has been running continuously ever since. However, it became a limited company in 1985 with a memorandum and articles, so the AGM is actually dated from then. So that's why we're on our 36th. Okay, so a little bit about voting. Only directors and nominated representatives of full member DPOs are eligible to vote. We're using an app to record voting in the room and online, and I believe Sean's going to come and give us a little explanation of how it will work.
Please.
I do a lot of things, but I'm not that techy.
Hi everyone. Yeah, it should be fairly straightforward, provided the email addresses are right. They'll just come through to the email address registered with DW. All the votes will be single links. Click on them, it'll open your web browser. It's an agree or disagree question with the motions that are set out in the paperwork. You don't need to log in, you don't need to download everything. It should run smoothly, but this is the first time using it, so if there are any hiccups, please wave at me frantically and I'll come over and do my best to give you a hand.
Okay, thank you very much, Sean. All right, let's skip the bit we don't need. Right, so before we go any further, we'd like to pay tribute to the memory of Judith Pennington, Simon Green, and also Vin West. So, as I said, before we progress with the AGM agenda, we'd like to take a moment to remember and pay tribute to the 3 committed disability rights activists and actually the many members of Disability Wales and the many disabled people who have sadly passed away over the last year and during the pandemic. Judith Pennington was a popular and valued member of Disability Wales' board for many years and continued to support our events and attend our conferences long beyond her term of office. Judith was passionate about access issues and was widely known across Anglesey for her support of all disabled people, and she will be sadly missed. Simon Green was known by so many people. He was a long-time member of our board of directors at Disability Wales, and his impact was enormous. As chair of Bridgend Coalition of Disabled People, he campaigned tirelessly for better access and support regarding local services, as well as advocating for countless individuals in achieving their rights and entitlements. At a national level, he was a high-profile campaigner, most notably on tackling disability hate crime, participating in undercover television documentaries, and was a passionate speaker at many conferences and events. Drawing on his own experience, Simon's positivity, energy and sense of humour continues to be greatly missed at Disability Wales, and all he contributed to the development of our organisation. he did a lot of work to ensure that we had a strong voice for disabled people here in Wales. Simon was a role model for many, and his legacy will be the way he inspired the next generation of disability activists to be proud of their identity and claim their rights. Again, we will miss him very, very much. And then many of you will have also have known Vin West. Vin held a range of roles. Most notably, he was secretary of Arfon Access Group and was an active member of numerous Welsh Government, public and third sector stakeholder groups and panels. He was a leading and influential activist in North Wales. Vin campaigned tirelessly across Wales on disability rights and carers' rights and challenged injustice, and he was always championing issues ranging from access to built environment to direct payments and to environmentalism. He was a regular attendee at Disability Wales events and a valued member of project committees, including the Drill Wales National Advisory Group and also the Access to Elected Office Wales panel, contributing much to the success of both initiatives. His losses are measurable. Disability Wales owes so much to the tireless contributions of Judith, Simon and Vin, and they are all greatly missed. Our deepest condolences go to their family, friends and fellow campaigners, and we will now hold a 1 minute silence in their memory. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Can I pass over to you now, Rhian, to read the apologies, please?
Oh yes, apologies. Apologies. I don't actually have the list of apologies in front of me. Sorry. So I'll hopefully get a notification of those
Okay.
shortly.
Okay, that means I won't call for any further apologies. Okay, so could you move on to read out the notice of the AGM then, please?
But I can do. So I hereby give notice that in accordance with the memorandum and articles that the 36th Annual Ordinary General Meeting of Disability Wales will be held at Cardiff City Stadium on Wednesday the 19th of October, commencing at 12:15 p.m. Oh, sorry, 11:30 p.m. I can also confirm that the meeting is quorate and that all papers were circulated 21 days in advance.
Thank you very much.
As required by our standing orders.
Okay, so that moves us on to the minutes of the 35th AGM of the 21st of October 2021. We need to check if the minutes are a true and accurate record. So could I call for a proposer and a seconder, please? Okay, Trevor, thank you. Can we have a seconder? You might have to second.
I can't because I'm...
Anybody? Anybody that was in?
Yeah.
Thank you. There we go, we have a seconder. Okay.
The trouble is, it's so long ago, you think, what happened last year? Yeah, so, yeah, thank you for that.
Okay, so I believe there should be a vote coming through now. Which is that one? Is that to accept the minutes? Yeah, okay. So you should have a link now to accept the minutes. If you could click on the link to cast your vote.
No,
Are you getting anything?
no. No.
Sean, has the link gone out?
Ah, there's something.
Oh, something's happening.
They're coming through. They got lost in cyberspace.
Please only use the links below to vote.
Excuse me. Okay, just give everybody a couple of seconds.
No, it's just come through on my email.
I'm reliably informed that when they do these votes on the Masked Singer, they edit out the gaps in between while people are waiting for their apps to come down. So.
I think that's enough time.
Just check now, I think. Ask if.
Are they coming through, Sean? Okay. Okay, all right. Apparently all the links have gone out altogether, so we'll collate the answers to them at the end. So that we'll move on to the next item, which is our annual report of 2021-22, and I would like to ask Rhiann to present the annual report.
Thank you, Chair. So our report is, yes, it's from, although we're 6 months into the new financial year, our reporting is on from April 2021 to March 2022, that's right. So of course, for much of that year, we were back in lockdown or under various restrictions. So as an organisation, we continued to operate online, working as a team virtually, putting on events and activities online. However, despite those challenging circumstances, we did have a number of achievements during the year, which I'm pleased to report on. So one of which was we published a revised resource pack of Know Your Rights, Use Your Rights, Live Your Rights. We'd first published it in 2012, and 10 years on, we thought it was overdue a bit of an overhaul. So we were able to publish it, and in addition to sections on the UN Convention on the Rights of Disabled People, the Equality Act and the Public Sector Equality Duty, we were able to add in new Welsh legislation that had come on board in the 10 years since it was first published. So the full pack now includes disabled people's rights under the Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act, the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act, and the Additional Learning Needs Act. The Know Your Rights resource has always been one of our most popular publications, so we were delighted to relaunch it last year. It is available on our website if you haven't had a chance to look at it. But I think, in terms of some of the discussions that we've had, about around activism, knowing your rights is really at the core of that. So do check it out when you've got chance. We also published when we're talking on the theme of rights, we published our manifesto, Bring Us Our Rights, which was launched ahead of the 2021 Senedd elections. And I know many of you and many of our members took part in that through attending focus groups and completed our survey. The main call to action of the Bring Us Our Rights manifesto was to call on political parties and whoever would form the new Welsh Government to commit to incorporating the UN Convention on the Rights of Disabled People in Welsh law, so that the UN Convention would become the framework in which any new laws would be sort of written against, and also as the starting point for the development and delivery of policy across Wales. So we were delighted to secure cross-party support. So from all the main political parties in Wales signed up to that call to action, and that included Welsh Labour, who then went on to form the new Welsh Government. And we're delighted that the commitment to incorporate the UNCRDP is in the programme for government, and work has commenced on looking at the legislative options that would enable the UNCRDP to become part of Welsh law. So I think that's a significant achievement, but I'm aware that many a slip, as they say, so we need to continue to hold Welsh Government to account to ensure that that incorporation goes through within the life of this Parliament. But yeah, a huge well done to everybody involved in getting that commitment. We also, talking about publications, we were very closely involved in the coordination role in the co-production of the report Locked Out, Liberating the Lives and Rights of Disabled People Beyond COVID. This was a report commissioned by the Minister. She was then the Deputy Minister and Chief Whip, Jane Hutt, now of course Social Justice Minister. She tasked the Disability Equality Forum to produce a report that would detail the impact of COVID on disabled people. A steering group was formed, which I was very privileged to chair, some members of which are in this room, Andrea, Josh, who amongst others who you've already heard from. And we surveyed 300 items of evidence. We were really delighted to have the support of Professor Debbie Foster from Cardiff Business School to write the report on our behalf. And it really catalogued chapter and verse of the various issues that disabled people had faced during lockdown, from the at the end, very serious end of the high death rate amongst disabled people in Wales from COVID. 68% of deaths comprise disabled people, a statistic that very rarely gets coverage in the media. But also, I know all the other issues that we faced, the restrictions, the lockdown restrictions, the impact that had on people being able to get shopping, for example, to get access to medicines, vaccination policies, social distancing rules when lockdown was lifted, so it's all in that report. Welsh Government accepted the report in full, published it last summer, and in response have set up a disability rights task force to respond to the report findings and recommendations, and to draft a new disability rights action plan which will help to address that. Again, many of us are involved in the task force or the various working groups, so that is a really important opportunity in terms of trying to get things right for the future, to kind of bridge that implementation gap between policy at national level and delivery at local level to really get that right. But again, it's something we need to keep holding Welsh Government to account on. We also launched a number of projects during the year. We had the premiere of our film, Unlocked Lives, which a number of disabled people had got Claudio here, who's running around doing our filming for us. He worked with a group of disabled people who all had cameras and videos and learned various techniques to produce a feature-length film that documented disabled people's lives during lockdown. Again, that is available to view on our website, and we were really thrilled because we got a tweet about it from Michael Sheen, the famous Welsh actor and activist. So it really is it really is worth looking at, because it really captures the experiences of so many people. And then another major project that we launched was Equal Power, Equal Voice, which we are involved in partnership with Women's Equality Network Wales, East and Stonewall. It's a mentoring programme. It's aimed at creating greater diversity in public life, so that people elected, people on public boards, third sector boards, look more like us, basically. More disabled people involved, as well as people with other protected characteristics. one of the key findings from the locked-out report was that there are very few disabled people amongst decision makers, so that when crucial decisions were being made, we weren't in the room, basically. So that's what projects like Equal Power, Equal Voice are aimed to tackle. And then finally, we also published the Civil Society Shadow Report on the implementation of the UN CRDP in Wales. That's a report that goes to the UN. Because the UK government ratified the UN Convention, they then have to subject themselves to examination by the UN in terms of how well or not they've implemented the UN CRDP. They got short shrift from the committee 5 years ago, where they were told that because of the breach of human rights under austerity, and there was talk about the human catastrophe that the UK government had visited on disabled people in the UK. So our report, along with our sister organisations' reports, were about cataloguing basically what has improved or not since then, and on the whole, the answer was very little had been improved. So I'd just like to quickly run through a few of the impacts. So overall, we launched 5 new projects. We ran 36 online events. We had 1,181 participants across all the events. We distributed £101,000 in grants to 7 disabled people's organisations around Wales. We received 18 applications to the Access to Elected Office Fund in Wales. We recruited 26 mentees to the Equal Power, Equal Voice programme. We supported 5 disabled students on placement. We attracted just under 1,968 new followers on our social media platforms. So we now have a total just under 20,000 at the end of March, 19,947 followers across our different platforms. And I can't believe this figure, Twitter impressions, 1,191,169 Twitter impressions. So if you've ever tweeted or liked or retweeted a tweet, thank you so much, because you're 1 in a million. We had over 216,000 visits to our website. Over 26,000 people viewed our various videos, and we took part in at least 17 mainstream TV and radio interviews. So the fact that that was all done under lockdown is incredibly, and I really thank colleagues in DW for just a tremendous effort and in this huge output of work, really, under very challenging circumstances. So massive thanks to DW staff and to the support of all the boards in helping us to achieve that. Thank you, Willow.
Thank you, Rhian. And thank you for all your hard work as well. We must remember that you're there as lead the organisation as well. So I'd like to invite any comments or questions. Okay, that looks like everybody's happy, so I shall carry on. Right, I'll pass over to you, Anne. Would you put Resolution 1 to the meeting, please?
Yes, certainly. Resolution 1, that the annual report of the Board of Directors for the year ended 31st of March 2022 is approved. And can I get a seconder, please? Thank you. Can I just clarify, are we doing the vote now? Or?
The votes are all going to be put in at the end, I think,
Okay.
because they've come through as one.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that, Anne. So at the end of that, I'd also like to give my thanks to all our board members and our staff for their hard work and commitment during what was a really challenging year. Without their dedication, we would not have achieved half as much as we have. And as always, our thanks go out to everybody. Okay, so item 5 is to consider the audited accounts from 2021 to 22, and I will hand over to Kelvin, our treasurer, to give his treasurer's report.
Thank you very much, Willow. Yes, the bit you've all been waiting for. Yes, it gives me great pleasure to provide to our members, partners, funders, our annual accounts for the years 2021-2022. The Treasurer's report you will have already received in our annual documents that they're sent out and highlights the challenge we've faced and our completion of numerous programmes and work streams on budget and delivering funders' targets, as Rian has already highlighted some of those projects and programmes. It has also seen the development and delivery of new programmes which arose from the effects of the global pandemic. I can report that following our audit with ASITS, we remain a financially viable organisation and have operated our programmes and funding in accordance with legislation and standards. And this was confirmed, as I said, by ASITS, our independent auditors. If anyone has any queries about our annual accounts or questions, happy to respond to the questions at the end of this short presentation. And if there's any technical ones, I can refer to our auditors and our financial manager that we can respond to there. However, I would wish to draw attention to several challenges we as organisations face in maintaining this position. Many of us will have heard the much quoted phrase, "May you live in interesting times." Hands up if you've ever heard that quote before. Because it's audience participation as well, you know, you're allowed to. Yeah, so some of you heard it. Basically, from my recollection, my father used to use it all the time, and he used to say, oh, it's an ancient Chinese curse. So I thought I'd do a little bit of checking, but actually the origins of that statement come from 1936, when a politician was looking at the challenges of an unstable political system, an economic turmoil in markets internationally, and the beginning of the development of a massive European war. I don't think that that definition now, "may you live in interesting times," is more relevant now than it's ever been in its history. And I reference it because as a charity, we very much have to plan for the good times, but we also have to plan for the bad times. And this is so we are resilient to our interesting times that we're currently living in, and the uncertainty that we all are living with at the moment. We cannot deliver our aims and objectives if we are not here. So as an organisation, we would love to spend every penny we receive to furthering our aims. But to deliver our aims, we must be economically stable and financially well managed. So this leads us to the constant balancing act between spend and survival. In our interesting and uncertain world, if all the income is spent as soon as it comes in, any interruption to the flow of income means the organisation will have to close. This is why both company and charity law requires directors to pay due regard to the governance of reserves so that the organisation continues to act as a going concern and continue to deliver its aims. As a board, we review reserves annually, considering our strategic aims and operating environment. And we as board members need to ensure the skills and experiences are within our organisation to allow us to be able to do this. As a lot of organisations out there know, the precariousness of funding cycles and single funders was brought home to me not long after I joined DW Board, when a major funder drastically suddenly reduced our funding, requiring the board to make some very difficult financial decisions. And since then, it's taken many years to build back some resemblance of reserves. Reserves are there to provide for and enable us to cover core costs should the charity need to reinvent itself, or to explore, secure and develop new or more diverse funding income streams. Indeed, without reserves, when we were hit with funding challenges a few years ago, we would not have been here now to celebrate our 50th anniversary. The prudent management of reserves in line with our organisational aim is a key part of directors' financial role, and they enable us as an organisation to explore and develop more diverse income streams. An example of this type of work is what's going on through our Resilience Fund through the WCVA, funded through the Welsh Government, where we use this resource to identify where reserves may be utilised to maximum benefit in the future. This could be through the development of new activities, which will diversify our income streams, as I've said, and pilot projects so that we can use the reserve as match funding to develop greater information for future work. But this direction of work, our strategic direction, is always set against our aims and objectives, and any investment in new activities needs to be progressively planned, monitored and reviewed, and it may take place over a number of years. We are aiming to increasingly enable Disability Wales to become more resilient to our very turbulent, interesting times. We are not there yet, but such planning and work is needed more now than ever, and it is a challenge for us all. Finally, this just leaves me a chance to make some thank yous. As a Treasurer, I have only recently become Treasurer at the end of last financial year, as I said in my report, and I believe we all at DW need to express our thanks for our previous Treasurer, Mandy Glover, who I'd personally like to thank for all the hard work and guidance over the years as a trustee with DW. I would also like to point out and thank the financial team whose experiences, knowledge and skills have provided all the data to prepare this report with our auditors and support us as trustees in sourcing information, advice and training to fulfil our functions. So much so I'm attending a fraud conference tomorrow to find out how to ensure that doesn't happen. As I said at the beginning, if people have any queries, happy to respond to those questions, or if they're more detailed, we can respond after the AGM. And finally, as a new Treasurer, I sought guidance and was told that there were 3 types of Treasurer that you could be. One that could count, one that can't, and I hope I will be the former. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you very much, Kelvin. Okay, so that moves us on to our next item, which is to ratify the election of members to the Board of Directors. Can I hand over to you, Rhian, to explain the ballot procedures?
Yes, certainly, Chair. So we sent out nomination forms to all our full member DPO, Disabled People's Organisations, who are the section of membership eligible to nominate people to the board. We received 2 nominations, and as they were in different categories, there wasn't then a need to conduct a ballot. So the 2 people who were, one who was re-nominated, which we're really pleased about, is Anne Champ, who's been our acting Vice Chair, and from Dewis Centre for Independent Living. And we also have a new board member, a new nominee for the board, Jeanette Papadamaki, and I hope I've pronounced that right, Jeanette. Who is from the OR project, Autistic Women's Empowerment Project. So that's great. So I now have to take a deep breath to put this nomination, this resolution to the floor, so that the resolution is that the election of Anne Champ and Jeanette Papadamaki be endorsed as members of the Board of Directors to hold office until the conclusion of the 2025 Annual Ordinary General Meeting, or until such time they are required to resign as a result of any lottery held under the terms of standing orders to ensure rotation of board membership or reach the maximum length of continuous service permitted within the DW Memorandum and Articles.
It's a mouthful, isn't it? Thank you very much, Rhian. Obviously that is included in your voting. And I would also like to say welcome to Anne Champ on her re-election. It's going to be great carrying on working with you. And also a very warm welcome to Jeanette Papadamaki. I added the S. And we'd also like to say many thanks to John Gladstone, who is stepping down from the board this year. But we'd like to thank him for his invaluable service on the board over the last couple of years. Okay, right, that moves us on to item 7, and that is to appoint our auditors. So, Kelvin, would you like to put resolution 4 to the meeting, please?
that the Chartered Accountants as it's be appointed as auditors to hold office until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting, and that board be authorised to fix their remuneration.
That's brilliant, thank you. Okay, is that the end of the, let me just scroll, yes it is. So if everybody would like to take a minute just to send all their votes through if they haven't already done so. I've got to do mine. And then I'm not sure, how long do they take to come through, Sean? Where is he? He's gone somewhere. I wouldn't have thought they'd take long. Did they come up on the screen? Or was it?
Is Sean in the room? Oh, there's Sean. Here comes the cavalry. Have the votes come through? Oh, this is so exciting. This is like election night. Where's Hugh Edwards when we need him? So we said this was a steep learning curve. So I think this is one example. While we're waiting for that, I notice there's lots of action going on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, there's lots of messages and posts. So and our hashtag is #DWConf22. So do join in. It's really great to see how people are reacting to today's events.
Hopefully it will only take a few minutes because I'm sure everybody's waiting for their lunch.
So, well, perhaps while we're waiting, we can talk about what will be coming up after lunch.
Yeah.
So we've got a panel, another sort of really brilliant panel session where we're talking about disabled people's involvement in public life. So we're really thrilled that we've got Rosie Moriarty-Simmons, who's the High Sheriff of South Glamorgan, coming to share her experience as being a disabled person in such a high profile role. So we're looking forward to hearing from Rosie. And then we've got presentations about our two projects that I mentioned, the Access to Elected Office Fund and Equal Power, Equal Voice. And we've got, my colleagues who run those projects will be talking about those, Sean and Philip. And then we've also got people who participated in the projects as well. So, and talking about how about their experiences and what they've been doing since being involved in those projects. So, so that's all good. And then at 3 p.m, we've got the First Minister of Wales, Mark Drakeford, joining us to talk to us. I don't know if people saw his the debate in the Senedd yesterday, which was very lively. Yeah, so we've got a First Minister who's gone viral. So yeah, so I think that's going to be very interesting. I know a lot of you submitted questions to him, which was really online. So we've got 20 minutes with him, and I think that's really brilliant that he's able to give us those 20 minutes. So we won't be able to go through all the questions, but we will be able to put a selection. So yeah, so quite an exciting afternoon coming up.
Very much so.
Are we there? Anyone know any jokes? Give us a song.
Keep thinking the countdown theme tune every minute.
Yeah, this is where we could do with a DW song.
Yeah.
No, we could all sing it.
Don't theme music.
DW version of Bread and Roses.
Yes, oh, that's a lovely song.
That's a good one.
What's that, sorry?
You're getting very good at this.
Oh, what's your mic?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I'm not going to get up because we're just doing something.
Are you okay, Sean?
Put there, it'll pick up every grumble of my tummy.
Right.
I've sent them out to everyone.
Okay.
I can see they're coming up. Trevor was just, he's got my 5 email addresses.
Okay.
But he's voted. So everyone should have to do I think both of you, for example, should have them through to your emails.
Yeah, we've done ours.
You've done
I've
yours.
done mine, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've had
We
been able to get through, so.
extra votes.
Yeah, the extra votes are in there as well.
So it's 10. 11.
So it's, basically, has everything been agreed?
It's been carried.
Everything will be, well, you have to click the end poll to see the results. So that's what I was
Right.
double checking.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, ideally, we wanted a 15 would be the, you know, that would demonstrate we had a quorum. But I thought we can say that all votes have been carried. I think that, you know,
So you need
15.
Debbie's not voted, and neither is Anne.
I voted.
You voted?
Yeah.
It's not correct. Have you voted on both?
No.
You'll have 2 sets of votes, that'll be enough.
Well, I have 2 emails then.
Yes,
Oh.
separate emails.
We would like to announce the outcomes of the votes on the resolutions, and it appears appears so far with everybody's votes that have come in that all resolutions have passed. So that just leaves for me to call for any other business, if anybody else has any other business they would like to raise today. Okay, that's brilliant, no show of hands. So the date of our next AGM will be confirmed, but we usually go with October, middle of October, don't we? So that just leaves me to close the AGM. We will now be breaking for lunch and more networking, and you'll have an opportunity to visit the stalls, which are in the other room, and we'll return at 1:45. I'd like to thank everybody who's contributed to the conference this morning, and to the staff for their organisation of the event, and to everyone for attending. Looking forward to attending the afternoon sessions about disabled people in public life. And Rhiannon has already told you who the speakers are going to be, and I'm personally looking forward to the keynote speech from the First Minister of Wales, Mark Drakeford. That just leaves me to put in some special thanks, because Rhiannon is our CEO, but she has put in so much work during the pandemic. She has led us as a staff team, she's supported us as a board, and she has worked tirelessly to ensure that disabled people are looked after during the pandemic. So we would like to say a very special thank you to Rhiannon for getting us to 50 years.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So I've been presented with an absolutely beautiful bouquet of lovely colours, and they look like our colours, which is really clever. So, yeah, the yellow and gold, blue, purples. Oh, wow, I was not expecting this, and I don't know what to say, but, you know, I think everything is achieved by teamwork. We've got a fantastic team at DW. Most of our team actually joined since lockdown. And I think it's just Miranda and myself who are still here from the old days. But, you know, we've got a fantastic team. We've got a really dedicated board of directors. And, you know, that's what DW is about. And I think, you know, over 50 years, it's been about the people who've been involved and the dedication and the passion and commitment that so many have put in. But I do appreciate this. I was not expecting this at all. So thank you so much. Thank you, Diolch yn fawr iawn. Diolch.
Thank you, everybody. Go and enjoy your lunch.